UFC 294. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Really looking forward to talking about each of the matchups after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. And also note, I will be live for the entire UFC 294 fight card Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern time start. Don't miss the fight companion. I cannot wait for it. And let's get into the fights. Starting the card off, we have Bruno Silva versus Sharapuddin Magomedov. I'm picking the side of Shara Bullet to win, as a vast majority of people are. Bruno Silva is still a dangerous and powerful guy, but if the hype on Sharapuddin is true, what we've seen is an extremely well-versed kickboxing game, a slick striking style, and definite killer instinct. The guy's a little bit on the crazier side. I think Bruno Silva's in trouble. I feel like he's going to get knocked out in this fight here because he's definitely at a disadvantage in the speed department striking. Straight up power, if Bruno Silva lands a clean punch, he can knock out a vast majority of fighters at 185. He has very heavy hands, and he's a competent striker. I mean, he went 3 rounds with Alex Pereira, but I do think that fight took a lot out of him. And then after that fight, the Mearshart loss, which is a bad stain. And then, last time Brendan Allen beat him up, and he got hurt in the stand-up there, and then subbed. I think Shara Bullet is going to knock him out. So I'm going Magomedov for the KO. Now looking towards the scales, let's check these savages out. There is Bruno Silva on the scale. I feel like he looks pretty typical Bruno Silva. And then we have Shara Bullet, who is, a fierce looking dude. I mean, you can't fully see the eye there, but he definitely has the villain vibe. I enjoy the villain vibe from him. And then we got the face-off. Shara Bullet was very intense. No emotion. Completely stoic. As was Bruno Silva. There was no handshake. I think Shara Bullet's that dude right now. I expect him to have some emphatic performances in the UFC and get some sick wins. So I'm going to ride with Shara Bullet to get the knockout in the first 2 rounds here. I think he's sleeping Bruno Silva. And I think the hype on this dude is real. Now, Shara Bullet is a minus 280 favorite with Bruno Silva around plus 240 as the dog. I like Shara's chances over 1.5 or under 1.5. If I have to call, I'm going to say under, but it's not impossible if it goes longer than that. And then prop betting wise, Shara Bullet, Magomedov, minus 110 for the KO. I do think he's going to knock out Bruno Silva. I think a lot of people hold Bruno Silva's performance against Alex Pereira in high regard, as they should. But nonetheless, he took damage in that fight. It's a different stylistic matchup, and there have been multiple fights thereafter where he's been hurt by much less strikers than Shara Bullet. So Sharapuddin Bullet, Magomedov, knockout win, emphatic debut. I've known about him for a long time, and I'm happy that we have him fighting here in Abu Dhabi. I think it's a great way to start the card off. Like, this is a fire first fight of the night. For some American fans that maybe were thinking about slacking and not waking up for the prelims, you can't miss Shara Bullet. You have to get up for it. 10 a.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Pacific, no matter what time zone you're in, this is a fight worth watching. I'm going Shara Bullet, emphatic knockout. Next fight on the card, we have ladies going after it. It's Jinh Frey versus Victoria Dudakova. Now, there is a slight weight miss for Dudakova, 0.6 over the limit. Not substantial, but it is a little bit of something. And she didn't look great on the scales. She looked weathered, and it was a hard weight cut. She's a young girl at only 24, so I think this is kind of like an early telltale sign within the next 2-3 years. Unless she really gets dialed into the weight cutting, she's going to be at 125. I'm picking her to beat Jinh Frey. I have been all week long. I expect the wrestling advantage to be the key difference maker between these two. Frey's also 38. She's lost 3 in a row, 11-9 record. You have to ride with the prospect with a lot of hype on her coming in. You have to. I think she's going to control this fight in the grappling department. Specifically, the wrestling advantage is the ultimate difference maker, and that should lead her to success here. Now, as far as the scales between these ladies, let's check these ladies out on the scale. We have Jinh Frey rocking the front double bicep, looking in good shape. I mean, she's very physically fit, and she has solid Muay Thai, and she's a strong woman. And then you can see Dudakova looking like a dead woman on the scale, a little bit over the limit. But really in her face, she doesn't look extremely sucked in. Like, it doesn't seem like the weight cut, even though it looks hard physically, right? She looked tired. But actually looking at her frame, I don't know. Maybe she's just got to lose some more body fat because she's still got her face filled out. She still looks fairly normal in the face. Just a little bit off. I think there's a miscalculation. Then we got the face off here. Nothing crazy at the face-off. Solid posturing by both. I think that Victoria Dudakova's wrestling edge is the biggest advantage here, and that will be the ultimate difference maker. We're going Dudakova on the judges' scorecards. I think that she's going to win this thing by a unanimous decision. Not impossible for her to find a finish, potentially by submission, but not easy to take Frey out. Now, when you look at the betting odds for this fight, I'd put them in the atrocious zone. Minus 560. I think is just overly wide. I know Dudakova has a real good chance of winning. Obviously, the bookies fully agree, and minus 560 is like, yeah, she's definitely going to win. We're really making you throw down on her. Frey is not a popular dog at plus 410. I'm picking Dudakova, probably on the cards. Over or under, I don't like it. I think over, but it's definitely, like I said, a possibility of Dudakova getting a sub. It's not out of this world impossible. Dudakova by sub is plus 310 with a decision at plus 120. My official prediction will remain decision. I think she's getting it on the judges' scorecards, and this is one of those fights where the betting line is horrible, but Dudakova should definitely get a victory. It's just not money lineable unless you're throwing thousands and thousands at it, or a parlay piece for some of you, but you're betting on a 24-year-old woman. Second fight in the UFC with a 22nd win in her debut due to injury. Yeah, there's some red flags on the bet. Way too wide of a line, but I do think Dudakova is the winner of the fight. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card. I like this fight. Nathaniel Wood versus Mohammad Naimov. I'm picking Nathaniel Wood. I think he's the technically superior fighter here. Mohammad Naimov's heavy-handed, and he knocked out Jamie Mullarkey up a weight class, which I honestly hold in pretty high regard because Mullarkey's a dangerous guy. But Nathaniel Wood, regardless of weight class, you're looking at this is a 145-pound fight. He is better than Jamie Mullarkey's skill set. Now, not saying if you put him against a guy and Jamie Mullarkey, who's way taller and longer, that Nathaniel Wood wins at 155 against him. But regardless of that fact, this fight is at 145. Styles are what make the fights. It's not about you beat this one, you beat that one, so you'll definitely beat that one. Not how the game works. I think Nathaniel Wood is a quality prospect. Now, granted, he's 30 years old. I think it's like now or never as far as the prime. And Mohammad Naimov is in a spot where he's a big underdog coming in, and he's getting a huge opportunity against someone in Nathaniel Wood that's like pretty well proven in the UFC. At featherweight, he looks better than ever. His win over Charles Jourdain stands out to me a ton. Competitive back and forth over Andre Fili last time out. So two really solid wins at 145 pounds for Nathaniel Wood. Mohammad Naimov has not faced this level of opposition at 145. And realistically at 55, Mullarkey's a decent fighter. And I think it was a solid win. But let's not forget, it's not like Naimov was cruising to win that fight. He was getting touched up. I think Nathaniel Wood can win here. I think he gets a decision. I think he's going to be able to out-kickbox Naimov, mind his P's and Q's pretty well, and take him out on the judges' scorecards. There's power on Naimov's side, but the technical advantage is vast for Nathaniel Wood. I will ride with him to get the win. Now, as far as the scales between these two savages, let's pull the scales up. We have Naimov. Listen, he looks in good shape. He looks slim. He looks fit. He looks good. Naimov looks ready to fight, as does Nathaniel Wood. He's in real good shape, physique looking solid, and I think both guys are going to give it hell. Let's bring up the face-off between these two. Let's check these killers out. Boom, 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 boom. All right, the face-off there between these two is, pretty clean, pretty typical. Nothing crazy from it. Both guys are coming to fight. I like Naimov's hat. I'm picking Nathaniel Wood on the judges' scorecards. Weigh-ins don't really change a thing for me. Both guys on point, in shape, seem pretty ready to go. As far as the betting odds, they are wide favoring Nathaniel Wood. And obviously the crowd is going to be on Naimov's side. But nonetheless, I think Nathaniel Wood is going to be the winner here. He's a 3-1 favorite, so it's minus 300 for Wood with Naimov as a plus 250 dog. I do feel as though over 2.5 is a high possibility of coming through at minus 150. And then Naimov to get, Naimov to get a knockout, I'll just read off, is plus 600. I know some people will be curious about that. But Wood, by a decision, which is my official call, sits at plus 100. I do think Nathaniel Wood, the technically superior fighter, gets a unanimous decision win. I know there's appeal on the Naimov underdog side, especially on a card where there's a lot of wide favorites. But I think Nathaniel Wood's the winner of the fight. So we're going Wood for the win in this matchup. Next fight on the card, we got Anshul Jubli versus Mike Breeden. I'm picking Anshul Jubli. I have been all week, and Mike Breeden came in at 159.5 pounds, 3.5 pounds over the non-title lightweight limit. Way overweight. And he's on a 3-fight losing streak. So a loss here would push him to 4 losses in a row, and the weight miss, it's a guarantee kick out the door. He's also 6 years older than Anshul Jubli. Listen, I think that Anshul Jubli can take him down. I think Anshul Jubli can control him there. I think he can beat him up with ground and pound. And I think there's a chance that he finishes him off. I do. I'm picking Anshul Jubli to get it done. I'm thinking a ground and pound stoppage is quite possible here for him. I'm riding with the road to the UFC winner, the Indian prospect in the octagon. He looked in great shape as well. We'll check it out here. There is Anshul Jubli. He looks ready to rock. Mike Breeden, obviously way over in weight. Doesn't look too great. And it's not like he's shredded to the gills. There's body fat to lose here. Anshul Jubli should run him over. I think it's a one-sided fight. I think Jubli puts him on his ass and beats him up. There's the face-off. Jubli was in his face nicely. Kind of looks like a cobra with the neck strung out like that. He's staring him down. I mean, the fucking frame favors Anshul Jubli. Mike Breeden's not in that great a shape. Breeden's a tough customer, but I think he's getting ran over by the Indian prospect. I think India's got themselves a dangerous lightweight. So I'm going Anshul Jubli for a ground and pound finish. Odds for the fight, minus 263 Jubli, plus 223 for Breeden. I think we're going under at plus 125. Note that Breeden's been knocked out in the first round. Granted, Terrence McKinney last time. Last time he was knocked out in the first round before that was Alexander Hernandez, who's dangerous. Did go distance with Natan Levy, but Natan Levy is not a good finisher. Jubli to win by a TKO is plus 190. I do think he's getting a TKO win. I think he will control in the wrestling department for the most part in this fight. I'm picking Jubli for the W. Breeden coming in overweight. I think he's getting beaten up. I don't think he's in that great a shape. He's at a disadvantage here in the wrestling by, I think, a pretty firm margin. So we're going to go with the side of Anshul Jubli to beat Mike Breeden. I don't see money Mike Breeden getting your bread as an underdog. I mean, at the end of the day, the odds have definitely come a lot closer throughout the week, and I think Breeden is like a fairly popular people's dog for the fact people feel Jubli's unproven, which is a fair assessment, but I think he beats money Mike Breeden, who's 34 and 10-6 as a pro. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, we have Sedriques Dumas versus Abu Azaitar. I'm picking Sedriques Dumas. Azaitar is a part-time fighter. He's fought just twice in like 5.5 years. And he's coming off of a loss to Marc-Andre Barriault where he really fatigued. And that was 2.5 years ago. His gas tank was running low. Listen, Azaitar's not a full-time fighter. And he's also got a weird frame. We'll check him out in the scales in a moment. You'll look at him. I think he gasses in the second or third round. I think Dumas, being an active fighter, consistently training, is going to have a good game to, get a victory. I think he beats Abu Azaitar. I think his hands will be moving nicely, and he'll be touching Azaitar a bit in the stand-up. But I think when Azaitar is fatigued, Sedriques Dumas might grab a rear naked choke here. I'm going Dumas for the W in this fight. I just don't believe in Azaitar as a part-time fighter, being 37 years of age, taking out someone who's consistently fighting and seems to be getting better. Sedriques Dumas, there he is with the ink on the scales. To be honest, if you told me he was a rapper, I'd believe it for sure. And then on the other side, you got Abu Azaitar. Kind of looks like, I don't know, John Lennon with those glasses. Interesting look for the shades, you know? Interesting look. Doc Ock from Spider-Man, maybe? Interesting glasses. But you know what? I respect the choice. I respect that he's wearing those shades. And then we'll pull up the face-off where there was some talk by Abu Azaitar. He's putting his finger out. Dana's blocking the finger here. This is a pretty legendary shot of Dana White right there. And then Dumas and him kind of lightly jawing back and forth. Azaitar's frame looks a lot more normal from the front, but if you see him from the side, he's kind of got like a Humpty Dumpty frame. Like his chest is here, his gut goes out like this, and then on the end, like the bottom half, it like sucks in. It's a very, very odd frame. He's a pretty short guy for 185 at 5'9", but granted, at the face-off, he looks 5'11", so that might be a mismarking of height then. But yeah, I think Dumas is taking him out. Sedriques Dumas should get the win here. I think he's beaten the, tough Moroccan in Abu Azaitar, who's a part-time fighter and has quite a questionable gas tank. And this is, 2.5 years ago he last fought. He had ring rust then. I can imagine he's still got some ring rust now, maybe more. We're going with Dumas. Now, the odds are wide. Minus 243, minus 250. I don't want to see that for Dumas, who ultimately is not super top tier at this point. He's still a very young and developing guy, but he should beat Abu Azaitar. Like, holy hell, he should beat Abu Azaitar, especially Mr. Inconsistency. Now, over 1.5 rounds at minus 155 makes a lot of sense. Azaitar is still dangerous for probably a round and a half. He fatigues towards the end of the second and then especially in the third round. Dumas to win by submission, plus 350. I will call a rear naked choke. I see at some point him getting the back of Abu Azaitar and strangling him. Could be throwing ground and pound too to soften him up. I'd like that better. And then eventually lock in a sub. So give me Dumas for the submission, guys. I think he's putting Azaitar, I don't want to say on his back, but he's going to get Azaitar's back. He might put him on his back with some punches. I think that Dumas controls the kickboxing, and Azaitar looks to throw hard, but Dumas will counter with pretty quality straight shots and be technical and calculated in the stand-up. So Sedriques Dumas over Abu Azaitar in this fight here is the official prediction. Let's keep running up. Next fight on the card, we have Javid Basharat versus Victor Henry. I've been picking Javid Basharat, as probably 99% of people are. I think Basharat's a real good prospect with technical skills. His kickboxing is very smooth. His grappling skill set is very legitimate. Now, this is an awesome fight for him because Victor Henry, nonetheless, regardless, right, of him taking a long time to get to the UFC, is a very crafty veteran of MMA with, his 30th pro fight coming this Saturday. It's pretty insane. And he beat Hayani Barcelos in an upset in his debut. Granted, then lost to a Sun Tzu, had a real back and forth with Tony Gravely last time out. And then for Javid Basharat, the one thing that we have to say is a negative against him is he doesn't have great finishing ability, but there's also a positive side to that. Javid Basharat is willing to be calculated and not take risk to beat a Victor Henry, and I think he wins this fight on the judges' scorecards. I could see him putting Henry on his back. I see him being the better kickboxer from range especially, and I think he's beaten Victor Henry here in Basharat's showcase performance, man. He's getting a step up in competition. Henry's a decent fighter, and he's very experienced. I like this fight a lot for Basharat at this time of his career. Like, I think this is the perfect matchup to see where is he right now. 28 years of age, he's emerging into his prime, fighting Victor Henry, who arguably is towards the tail end or even outside of his fighting prime. We got to go Javid Basharat for the win. Now, as far as the scales, we'll check them out. We'll look at these guys on the scales. Listen, Victor the rock and roller Henry, man, he's got a nice fucking set of hair. We got to give credit where it's due. He looks like a fucking rock star. He looks like he's in Motley Crue, man. Bring us back to the 80s. Then we got Javid Basharat looking in very good shape. Looks like Javid Basharat does. A calculated killer. Extreme couture prospect. Somebody that I think wins the fight here. Though Victor Henry, he looks badass. Kind of also like a featherweight Clay Guida look, There's the face-off. I mean, nothing emphatic happened at weigh-ins or face-off. Two guys going to fight. I think Basharat's the better fighter, but Victor Henry's not going to be an easy fight for him. I'm saying Basharat in the scorecards. That is the official call in this matchup. Now, as far as the odds for it, Basharat is a 6-1 favorite. He's minus 600 with Victor Henry as a plus 425 underdog. And let's see here. Basharat to win by decision. My official prediction sits at minus 150. I think that Basharat by a decision is quite likely here. So we're going Javid, Basharat by a unanimous decision. I think he wins the fight. And yeah, I think it's a clean W for him. I'm going with the Snow Leopard. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card is Muhammad Yahya versus Trevor Peek. I've been picking Trevor Peek to beat Muhammad Yahya by a knockout here. Now, granted, he is at home, being Yahya, fighting in Abu Dhabi. Obviously, the fan base is going to be very pro-Yahya. But Peek is an absolute pit bull that comes to fight. This is like the sleeper fight of the night. This might be the fight of the night. I expect chaos from Trevor Peek from the moment this fight begins. I expect wide punches that I think will give strong issue to Muhammad Yahya, who's more of a technical upright kickboxer. The looping shots, the unorthodox style of Trevor Peek, I think he can get a knockout here. He's a good fucking street fighting style, and I think he can bring some hell to Muhammad Yahya, who's more of a poised and technical kickboxer. I think Peek can win this thing, guys. I'm going Trevor Peek for the upset, or rather the knockout. Not an upset, though. He opened up as a big underdog, but actually at, fight time, we're looking at him as the favorite. We'll look at these guys on the scales. Let's check these savages out. There is Trevor Peek on the scale. Looks solid. Looks like Trevor Peek does. Then we have Muhammad Yahya, who just doesn't look good on the scale. I'll be honest. I mean, maybe it's the picture, but I'll be honest with you. I think he looks ready to take a nap. And I think Trevor Peek might be, a little melatonin in his hands and might put him to sleep. I'm going Trevor Peek for the KO. There's the face-off. Like, it's high-energy Peek versus low-energy Yahya. Give me high-energy Peek to come out firing out the gate and unload on Yahya. We're going Trevor Peek for a knockout. Let's go. There we go. Look at that face-off. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Trevor Peek to get it done. Let's go. Yahya's plus 150 as the underdog. Trevor Peek minus 175 as the favorite. Yeah, I like Trevor Peek to win. Over 1.5, under. I'll call under, but I wouldn't want to throw down on it. Peek to win is minus 175. Knockout win for Peek is minus 125. So you really don't have great props here. Betting Trevor Peek, I mean, it's high risk, high reward. If he was plus 150, I'd love a Trevor Peek underdog attack. At minus 175, not as much. But I do think he can win this fight. He should be able to put the pace on Yahya and get a knockout win. But he opened up as a huge underdog, and now to see him as the favorite, a lot of people are on Trevor Peek here. Let's get to the featured prelim. We have Tim Elliott versus Muhammad Mokaev. Now, the pick all week has been Muhammad Mokaev. Tim Elliott going on Twitter saying he doesn't believe Mokaev made weight. He said Mokaev looked surprised. They fixed the scales for him. That's conspiracy. But, I mean, you never know. But Tim Elliott to complain about rule bending? Come on, Tim. Tim's the king of bending the rules, man. He'll put the fingers in the glove. He'll grab the cage on the other side of the referee. He's veteran savvy. So if Muhammad Mokaev didn't actually make weight, but they put him on weight, maybe he was a pound over, who knows? It is what it is. Officially, the commission said he's on weight. So I'll take it as he's on weight. I'm picking Mokaev to win. I think his wrestling advantage is huge. The dude was unbeaten as an amateur MMA fighter, unbeaten as a pro MMA fighter. Muhammad Mokaev can take out Tim Elliott. He might win by submission here. He could catch Tim Elliott with a strangle, I think. Now let's look at the scales between these two. Let's check these scales out. All right, we have Muhammad Mokaev, who looks happy and confident. There he is. He looked intense and like, hey, look in the eyes. He made weight. People say he looked surprised after I saw the pics. I don't know. It's, maybe a little surprised. Maybe just grateful that he made weight. There's Tim Elliott, who looks good on the scale. I got to give Tim credit. Tim's an OG that always comes in shape. We'll check these guys out face to face, nose to nose. It was an intense face-off. Mokaev looks like a calm, collected killer. And then you got Elliott jawing at him a bit. I think Mokaev can beat him. I'm going Mohammad Mokaev. Official pick is decision, but I don't think submission is crazy by any stretch here. Like, let's look at the odds real quick, okay? So we have Tim Elliott is a plus 300 dog, whereas Mokaev is a minus 400 favorite. Over 2.5 is minus 155. All right, Mokaev by a decision, which is my official prediction, is plus 120, where Mokaev by sub is only plus 140. That sucks. I thought it would be at least plus 200. Damn. I could see Mokaev strangling him, but Tim Elliott's not easy to put away. Has been finished before. Was submitted a while back, I remember, by Ben Muin. And then Matthias Nicolau beat him by a decision in his most recent loss. Like, we got to give Elliott some respect. 4-1 out of his last 5 with a nice W over Tagir Ulanbekov. But to be fair, that fight could have gone either way, and there was some bending of the rules. I think Mokaev can deal with the veteran savvy tricks, and I think Mokaev gets a win on the judges' scorecards officially, beating Tim Elliott. But a strangle is not impossible. I definitely could see it. And it would be huge for Mokaev's stock, especially answering some questions about his knee after, getting that knee stretched out badly by Jafiel Filo last time out with the knee bar. Tim Elliott doesn't have those submission skills, nor does he have that type of punching power. So for Elliott to win, it's a grind-heavy back-and-forth decision. And I think that Mokaev can beat him on the card. So we're going Mokaev for the W here. Let's jump to the main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. We have Said Nurmagomedov versus Muin Gafurov to start the main card. I'm so excited for Said Nurmagomedov here. I think this is a huge mismatch, and I think the odds are too close for what it is. Nurmagomedov is coming off of a loss to Jonathan Martinez in a competitive fight, and Jonathan Martinez just destroyed Adrian Yanez and looks to be a pretty legit guy at 135. Nurmagomedov is skilled not only with his stand-up, but with his submission threat. Now, he's not an A-tier wrestler, but he has very good guillotines, and he could catch Gafurov with the sub, especially Gafurov throwing looping punches and then looking to shoot for a takedown. I think Said's very live for a strangle in this fight. I think he can finish Gafurov, even though Gafurov has not been finished as a pro. And you could say, oh, he went distance with John Lineker in one championship. Fair, but note that one championship John Lineker, who, was formerly in the UFC, is not a submission threat and is pretty much a boxing-heavy onslaught of pressure, whereas Nurmagomedov is a much more wide range of tools, right? He has a better kicking skill set. He's striking from the outside is smooth. Grappling is pretty solid. He knows how to come back and win fights like he did with Sadyokub Kakramanov. I think Said Nurmagomedov can submit Muin Gafurov in this fight. Gafurov, a bit of a looping puncher, and I'll be fucking honest, I'm not overly impressed by Muin Gafurov's skill set. I think that Said Nurmagomedov is clearly the better fighter, and I think that these odds could be 4-1, but instead you have it in the minus 200 range, which we'll bring up the odds in a moment, but let's check these guys out real quick. There is Muin Gafurov. Then there's Said Nurmagomedov. I don't know why we get him standing off the scale, but all right. I mean, he looks in real good shape. And then we'll pull up the face-off. Let's check these guys out face-to-face. It was a very relaxed face-off on both sides. Slight smirk by Muin. Pretty stoic look by Nurmagomedov. See the height advantage for Nurmagomedov. I think he can outstrike Gafurov. And I think he could submit him too. I think he's dangerous in the striking and in the grappling, and I think he does find the victory here. Now, official pick has been decision for Nurmagomedov, but it wouldn't be insane if he grabbed the neck. Let's look at the fighters' odds here. Let's check them out. Like I've said, I think minus 220 is not a bad tag for Said Nurmagomedov. Plus 185 for Gafurov as the dog. I like Nurmagomedov a lot in this fight. Over 2.5, minus 120 probably, but it's not impossible for a sub, as I've said. And then Nurmagomedov to win by a decision is plus 200. With a submission also at plus 200, so that's not great. That's not great. We're going with Said Nurmagomedov to get it done. Said wins. I think Said Nurmagomedov decision win makes a lot of sense. So that's the official call. I think he can outstrike, and I think he can bring submission threats and fend off the Gafurov grappling attack. So we're going with Nurmagomedov. And I've said this too all week. Gafurov's coming off of a loss to John Castaneda. Now he's fighting Said Nurmagomedov. That is a vast step up in competition, and I don't think he's winning. So we're going with Said for the W. Next fight on the card, we have Ikram Aliskerov versus Warley Alves. I'm picking Ikram Aliskerov, and honestly, you can't argue this. Doesn't he look like Islam Makhachev and Khabib just completely mixed together in this picture? That's what it looks like to me. Now, I think Ikram Aliskerov is going to beat up Warley Alves. Alves is what, 1-3 in his last 4. He's taken some L's to guys that I think Ikram Aliskerov would absolutely destroy. Aliskerov is a monster. He's got good wrestling skills, dangerous stand-up game. I think he can win by knockout or submission in this fight. I'm feeling knockout because I respect Warley Alves' jits on the mat. In the stand-up department, though, I think he's badly outgunned by Ikram Aliskerov. Now, we'll look at them on the scales, and I'll tell you guys, I think Warley Alves fills out 85 pretty well. Look at him at 85. He looks good at 185. I think maybe stick around at 85 regardless of the result here. And then we have Ikram Aliskerov. He's not winning any physique contests, but he looks decent. Looks like Ikram does. And now let's pull up the face-off between these two. I'm very, very excited for this fight, guys. I'll tell you straight up. This is the face-off right here. Boom. Right? Warley Alves is a legit 85er. I mean, he looks bigger than Abu Azaitar. I think he should stick around at this weight class. I think that Ikram Aliskerov has a clear advantage in grappling and in striking. I'm going to officially call a knockout. Inside distance makes a lot of sense because it wouldn't be crazy if the side of Ikram Aliskerov won by sub or knockout. So the pick is Ikram to get it done. Minus 575. He's a huge favorite in this fight. Warley Alves plus 425 still. I like Ikram Aliskerov at minus 575 as a parlay piece. I think he is a very confident pick, and I expect him to win the fight. Under 1.5, minus 165. I think the under is quite live here. Aliskerov inside distance, minus 275. Aliskerov KO, plus 135. Aliskerov submission, plus 150. So yeah, give me Ikram Aliskerov to get this thing done. Ikram Aliskerov to get a finish. I like Ikram to win this fight. I think that it's going to be his showcase performance, and I see him taking out Warley Alves. Ikram Aliskerov, W. Big W. Big W. Impressive W. Ikram for the win. Impressive win coming. All right, let's keep running. Next fight on the card, it's our featured bout of the night. It's Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. I've been picking Magomed Ankalaev all week, and I feel pretty good about him getting a win. But can I tell you guys, I'm hoping that Johnny Walker knees him in the face. But that's not good for the parlays at all. That's not good for the betting side at all. But fan side of me that wants to see Johnny Walker versus Alex Pereira or Yuri Prochazka, I have to root for it. But hey, maybe the stars will align. Ankalaev beats him, and then he fights the loser of Pereira and Prochazka, which that could be a crazy fight. Because Johnny Walker against either one of those guys is so sellable, and it would be awesome. Now, nonetheless, Magomed Ankalaev has a clear wrestling advantage, and he's a pretty calculated fighter, and I think he can beat Johnny Walker. Walker's always dangerous, though, for landing a big shot with his freakish frame. We'll see when we look at him on the scales. The pick is decision for the side of Magomed. Okay, Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker hiding his face, but bro, Johnny Walker is jack. The dude looks freakish on this scale. Then there's Ankalaev, who looks in quite good shape too, but not as freaky. Johnny Walker looks freaky, man. Looks like a heavyweight, like a shredded heavyweight. And we got the face-off, Walker, some joking smack talk, badass haircut. I'm picking Ankalaev to win. I'm not jumping against my pick, but I do feel as though the side of Johnny Walker is quite dangerous. I have to respect the danger on Johnny Walker's side. But Ankalaev is the better technical fighter. He's a southpaw. He can box. He can wrestle. I think that he can win. So I'm going Ankalaev by decision. But Johnny Walker by KO is not a crazy, crazy thing. Ankalaev minus 355. Johnny Walker plus 290. Over 1.5 is minus 160. I do think it goes over 1.5. Ankalaev by a decision, plus 240. Walker by a KO, plus 425. Just something to look at. Let's go, baby. I'm riding with the side of Ankalaev. But yeah, the fan side of me is with Johnny Walker. But really, I think Ankalaev takes him out. Now, he's a fair-sized favorite. Ankalaev is a live parlay piece for sure. Johnny Walker would need to find a perfect shot or have just the greatest night around. Do I hope that he does? Betting-wise, no. Fan-wise, yes. So, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to curse your guys' parlays. But if Johnny Walker does knock him out, be honest with me, guys. Come on. As fans, it's better for the sport. He's got way more of a personality. Now, Magomed Ankalaev, can we turn him into a villain somehow? Can he looks like a fucking eagle, actually. But I think that Ankalaev just needs to learn a little English or just start saying he's going to smash everybody, smash everybody. That's it. Like, just copy Khamzat at this point. Bring some personality, bro, because I feel like we don't know Magomed Ankalaev from a fucking shoe on the side of the road, you know? We know nothing about him. I'm going with the parakeet. I'm going with Magomed Ankalaev, the bird, to get the win. Co-main event of the evening, and I cannot wait for it. It's Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev is my lock of the week. I've been calling it since Monday. The lock of the week. I think that Khamzat Chimaev is going to beat Usman, and I think he can finish Marty Fake Newsman. Now, actually, I respect Kamaru Usman a ton, and I think that Khamzat just has the wrestling advantage, the pace, the miles on the car. Kamaru Usman's knees popping at the open workout. His knees have given him issues for a couple years now. We know that, he has very limited capabilities of running because of his knees. Khamzat Chimaev is primed to win. He's not even 30 yet. Usman 36. I think Khamzat is going to put Usman on his back. I think Khamzat's going to beat him up from top, and I'm feeling like Khamzat's going to strangle him. I'm officially predicting Khamzat Chimaev by sub. A knockout is not out of this world. Imagine he slept Usman with a big punch. And a decision, grind-heavy, wrestling, back-and-forth win is also not crazy for Khamzat Chimaev. It's going to be very interesting to see Usman here at 185. I'm actually really stoked for it. Seeing both these guys at 85. Granted, we've seen Khamzat at 85 before, but specifically for Usman at 85. There is Khamzat. Looks good on the scale. Pretty solid. Looks fucking psychotic with the eyes. Look at those eyes. Killer eyes. And he's jacked and shredded. Then there's Usman, who also looks, pretty solid at 185. I don't know, less muscular. Is it just my imagination? Now, when he flexes, he looks muscular, but I feel like he doesn't have as much fucking muscle in the shoulder or chest area. And he's taking this fight on short notice. And his knees popping, guys. Khamzat is the lock of the week. Khamzat's going to smash him. I've called that Khamzat was going to beat Usman for years, man. I remember when Khamzat first burst on the scene, I said, this is the guy to beat Usman. He's going to dethrone him for the welterweight belt. Obviously, Leon Edwards did it first, and Leon at one point was supposed to fight Khamzat. So it very well, if the universe lined up, could have worked out that they fought at 170 and Khamzat becoming champion there. But that's just not how the stars aligned. I think that Khamzat Chimaev puts Usman on his back, and I think it's the perfect time to fight him. I think this is the best version we've ever seen of Khamzat here at 185. He's going to be a monster, especially with the Abu Dhabi crowd. There's the face-off, intense face-off. Khamzat looked pretty scary at face-off, just staring into his soul. He wouldn't look away. Usman kind of moving his jaw, which, potentially a sign of worry because he is taking this fight on very short notice, and this is an extremely tough task. And a guy who fights at such a high pace, bro, I think Usman's getting worked in this fight, guys. It's Khamzat Chimaev. I'll call submission officially, but at the end of the day, the money line getting the win is the A side. Now, when I'm touching it, the line is not this wide. Now it's minus 330. Earlier on in the week, it was around minus 275. Opened up at a wide line, though. We opened up wide. We saw it go down. We saw it minus 230. Like, the line has shifted. It was playable money line for a little bit. And then it got ugly. Now it's minus 330. But I definitely think Khamzat Chimaev is the winner of the fight. Now, you can go chase some props if you want, but at the end of the day, you know, when you chase props, things can go sideways. Submission for Khamzat is plus 300. I got a feeling that he's strangling Kamaru Usman. I think he wants that rear naked choke. Wouldn't be crazy if he knocked him out either. A knockout is plus 190, and then a decision for Khamzat Chimaev is plus 250. We're going Khamzat Chimaev in the co-main event, the showcase fight, the performance of his life, the title-earning win. He beats Kamaru Usman, a legend of the sport, and Khamzat Chimaev then fights against Sean Strickland, who, word on the street, is he beat up in sparring already, tapped him multiple times, and I think he's going to have a huge grappling advantage there as well. So give me Khamzat Chimaev over Kamaru Usman. Mad respect to Usman taking it on very short notice, but this is Khamzat's showcase fight. Give me Khamzat for the W. Amazing fight. I love this fight. I love this fight more than the Costa fight. Let's get to the main event. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. Listen, guys, I think that Alexander Volkanovski has the upset chance. I'm picking Volkanovski. As soon as they announced this fight, I just had the gut feeling that Volk is going to knock him out. And obviously, a lot of people are on Makhachev. They think he can pick apart Volkanovski, take him down, specifically a short notice Volkanovski and Makhachev having way more time to rehydrate than he did when they fought in Australia. I think Volkanovski can beat him, guys. I'm going with the Volk train. I'm picking Volkanovski to win. I'm going for the upset. I think he can lay him out. I think Volkanovski looked awesome against Yahya, better than when he fought Makhachev last time. And also note, Makhachev was preparing for Charles Oliveira, which is a different stylistic matchup. Backup fighter, Mateusz Gamrot on the scale. Then there is Volkanovski, who, you know, doesn't look shredded, but he's taking the fight on short notice. But I don't know. Maybe chubby Volk is the best version of Volk. He was the first one on the scales, too. And there's Makhachev looking shredded and jacked. He looks in awesome shape, as expected, as he normally does. And then let's pull up the face-off. Let's look at these guys getting nose-to-nose. You know what? The face-off, all you see is, damn, Volk is a lot shorter. We already knew that. They fought before. This is the rematch. Last time out, Makhachev was on his back getting beaten up by Volkanovski at the end. Makhachev was out of gas. And if there's any guy on short notice that I would predict has an awesome gas tank still, it's Alexander Volkanovski. So give me the win for Volkanovski. I got him beating Makhachev upset. I think he's going to hurt him with punches, knock him out, pull off one of the craziest wins in short notice fights. Like, this is going to be something that goes down in the history of mixed martial arts. I'm picking the side of Volkanovski for the W. Against the grain, yes. Against many, yes. But I'm going with what my gut tells me. It's plus 205 for Volkanovski as the dog. Makhachev, the minus 240 favorite. I'm going Volkanovski knockout. Volk to win by a KO. Volkanovski, plus 390 for that. I would just moneyline it if you're going Volk, if you want to play the dog in the main event. Obviously, I recognize Makhachev's a monster. It's not the easiest fight ever, but the feeling inside I've had all week, last week too, when they announced this fight, I said, damn, I think Volkanovski's beating him. I think he can put hands on him. His boxing looked better last time out than ever. His wrestling looked better last time out than ever. I think he's going to be damn strong. I think he's going to be damn on point. And even on short notice, I think we're going to have a good version of Volk. And I believe that he was lightly preparing for this fight still. Even, though he had, a recent surgery not that long ago. I think he was still working just within the back of his mind and thought, man, what if Charlie O pulls out? This is my chance at making history. And I'm going Volkanovski and new double champ status. He might jump into that GOAT conversation with this win. I'm picking Volkanovski. And with a win here, Volk's got to be pound for pound number one. Has to be. Volkanovski for the W. I'm picking him over Islam Makhachev. I'm riding with the Volk train to get it done. Makhachev's last fight, February, was against Alexander Volkanovski. He was preparing for Charlie O in that rematch, which is a whole different stylistic matchup. Volkanovski gave him hell last time, and don't think Makhachev forgets it. I'm picking Volkanovski for the upset win. That is the UFC 292 card, but 292, what am I saying? That is the UFC 294 card, but we're not done just yet. We got to jump to the parlays. It's parlay time. We're going to parlay some things up. I'm going to throw safety first at you. Khamzat Chimaev, Ikram Aliskerov, minus 185. Where's my boy Saeed? And Saeed, I think these three are winners. plus 124. Now, if you throw the ugly line of Javid Basharat in, it brings you to plus 166, which isn't great, but I do think he wins. Ankalaev, like, I want him to lose as a fan, but betting-wise, I really think he wins the fight. So we got the high confidence calls. We got Khamzat. Shara Bullet in the first fight of the night, plus 379 for that lineup. Then if you went absolute freak mode and you say, yo, give me dog in the main event, now we got plus 1433. That'd be some fucking crazy shit, huh? But that'd be a nerve-wracking parlay at the very end. Let's see. If we just went Saeed and Shara Bullet for an alternate, we got plus 104. And then if you added in the side of Khamzat, you got what? Plus 167. I like that one too. You don't want Shara Bullet. You still got minus 110 just for those two. I think that makes sense. I think there's a real chance of that. What's the over 2.5 here? Minus 275 in that. You always throw Basharat straight plus 127, but I got a good feeling we're going long here. Plus 160. Then Shara Bullet plus 265. Mokaev, you throw him in, plus 357. He probably wins too. Aliskerov probably getting it done. Plus 437. Ankalaev, plus 590. Dog, plus 2108. I like the safer parlay, like Khamzat with Saeed, Khamzat with Akram, Khamzat with Ikram and Shara Bullet, Khamzat with Saeed, Ikram, and Shara Bullet. There's some ways to play it. I think that the high confidence calls, even, you know, throwing Ankalaev in the lineup, it's a real good chance that he wins. As much as I love Johnny Walker, there's a real good chance that he's winning it. I would bet intelligently. There's a lot of chalky favorites on this card that probably do come to fruition. So bet smart. Lock of the week is Khamzat. There's some high confidence calls. I think there's some decent parlays we can make. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's weigh-in recap show. It's going to be an epic card, and I cannot wait for it. As you know, I'll be live for the whole thing. So tune into that Fight Companion. Much love, my people. I appreciate you all watching. Make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and share the video too. And if your post notifications are turned on, don't just put them on personalized. Put them on all so you don't miss a video, as I got daily content dropping. Next week, there's no UFC, but I'll drop early predictions for the Sao Paulo card, and then I'll also be doing the Fight Companion for the Fury and Ngannou card. And I'm thinking I'll throw the main picks for the whole Fury and Ngannou boxing card, because it's all heavyweight fights, and I know pretty much every boxer on the card, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll drop picks for that too. So it's still an onslaught of content, even with the off week next week. So keep it locked in right here at MMA Experts. I'll see you guys for the Fight Companion. I appreciate each and every one of you. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the picks. Throw some of your favorite picks out there. And if you got nothing to say in the comments, but you just enjoy the content, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, everybody.